In the meantime, let's talk to political commentator Albie Amankona, who's in the studio. Morning to you.
Good morning.
Look, what do you make of what Jacob Rees-Mogg has had to say? I mean, Europe would come back and say, no, we're trying to do the best for the community, for their community. We're trying to do the best for Ireland, and we're doing what is necessary.
I would question whether or not someone from the European Union could say with a straight face that they were trying to do the best for Ireland. We have 20% of the European Union customs checks going on the island of Ireland in relation to Northern Ireland. I don't think that's what's best for Ireland. I don't think that's what's best for Northern Ireland. And what's required in these negotiations is good faith on both sides. And I'm not sure that we're seeing that.
Isn't it interesting that Jacob Rees-Mogg actually made the point and wanted to say it out loud? You know, they're just trying to punish us. So go ahead, bring it on.
I mean, that's certainly an argument. If you think of the European Union as a political union that wants to maintain its future, of course it wants to try and stop any members from leaving again, for example. So it's in their interest to try and make this process as difficult as possible, which comes back to my initial point about good faith. In order to get to a positive outcome, there needs to be good faith on both sides, and I'm not sure that we're seeing that.
That's going to be very difficult, isn't it, in the sense that since Angela Merkel stood down and has been replaced and Macron has been re-elected, Macron is now the strongest voice within the EU, isn't he? And he is very much anti-British, so it would seem.
I mean, the French being anti-British isn't exactly a new phenomenon. That's been going on for hundreds of years. But one thing that I think is quite interesting...
But that was tempered, though, by Angela Merkel, wasn't it? She was much more pragmatic.
But if I just come back to my point, which is what I was going to say, is what was quite interesting is, of course, earlier on this week, we had Emmanuel Macron come out and talk about potentially an outer political union which was separate from the European Union, but some sort of mechanism that the countries like the United Kingdom could be part of, the Ukraine could be part of. So it's not just about being anti-British. I do think people are trying to find mechanisms for better relations, but the Franco-British relationship has always been a fraught one. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Well, as we said, we're going to be playing that interview with Jacob Rees-Mogg, the full interview, a bit later on at about 9:30. But just while we're talking about him, what do you think of the fact that he is also calling for 91,000 jobs to go from the civil service?
I think calling for job cuts is always going to be a very difficult time for the people that may be affected by 1/5 of the civil service being cut. But I think many Conservatives, and myself included, would be saying that, look, it's quite actually good to start hearing a Conservative politician talk about reducing the size of the state, which is what he is essentially proposing with this 91,000 civil service jobs cut. And we're living in the middle of a cost of living crisis. Money's got to be found from somewhere. If reducing public spending can then go into measures to help with the cost of living crisis, I think that's a good thing.
OK, Albie, good to talk to you as always. Thank you very much indeed.